Great to have you.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. Okay, so let's go to the first of a couple of reports that will give an overview as to the situation, and then we take the legal opinion from Liborous as to what exactly the situation is now. Who indeed is ahead of the two factions supposedly jousting for power? Okay, so the first is this one.
Moments after the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja nullified the sack of 25 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly, the group of 60 opposition federal legislators has cautioned against misinterpreting the ruling. Imo State lawmaker Ikenga Ugochinyere is the head of the group of opposition legislators. He cites Section 272, subsection 3 of the Constitution, which gives the Federal High Court powers to determine whether the seat of a House of Assembly member has become vacant or not. He and his colleagues insist the seats of the affected members remain vacant.
The 27 of them were not members of that assembly. And what was left in that assembly was what was then led by ADC Nehi, which sat and also had a proceedings on December 13, 2023, and declared those seats vacant. That declaration is still valid and have not been voided by any court.
But we cannot continue to hide under one illegal action to the other. Let us not forget, in a hurry, what happened in the First Republic.
If anybody says to you, let us just turn this country into a banana republic, I will not be one of those. But we must get it right. And the only way to get it right is to do the right thing.
The group calls out the Inspector General of Police, Kaode Egbetokun, to withdraw the armed men across the secretariat of the local government councils.
And I will call, like I said at the beginning, on the Inspector General of Police. Up till now, this is almost going to 1 week or 2 weeks or thereabouts. Somebody was carrying dynamite, explosive, on a protest by pro-Wike supporters. That explosive exploded.
In the reasoning of G60, the Court of Appeal in its ruling focused on declaring that the Federal High Court is the only court with the jurisdiction to decide on the legality or illegality of cross-carpeting by the affected members of the Rivers State House of Assembly, thereby ruling against the proceedings of the Rivers State High Court. Joke Epsa, TVC News, Abuja.
Okay, so there we have it, and that's the first of the two reports I wanted to show this morning. But the seats of the affected members, Martin Amaewhule and 24 others, according to the sources from officialdom in Rivers State, still remain vacant. Look at this second report.
Section 272, subsection 3 of the Constitution gives the Federal High Court powers to determine whether the seat of a National Assembly member has become vacant. The Federal High Court has exclusive jurisdiction to determine if the seats have become vacant. The express mention of the Federal High Court in Section 272, subsection 3 of the Constitution automatically exclude all state high courts from having the jurisdiction. The ex parte order, having been made without jurisdiction, is null and void. Justice Jimmy Bada held that no urgency warranted the ex parte order being granted by the Rivers State High Court. The trial court ought to have listened to both parties before coming to a decision which was prejudicial to the appellants. The judgment was an appeal filed by Martins Amaewhule and 24 others versus Vito Uku Jumbo as respondents.
To the President's Cabinet, particularly the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, for what he's doing in the FCT, giving Mr. President the support that Mr. President deserves to continue to put this country on the path of fast development. So we thank the FCT Minister for what he's doing in supporting Mr. President and for what he's doing for the peace of Rivers State by being the political leader of Rivers State, ensuring that every community, every local government, every tribe in Rivers State work together for the peace and the development of Rivers State.
With this judgment, Martins Amaewhule and the 24 other lawmakers who were expelled can return to the Rivers State House of Assembly to continue their legislative duties. Celestina Iria, TVC News, Abuja.
Okay then, and back to our guest of the day, Mr. Liborous Oshoma, lawyer and political affairs analyst. So, Liborous, what exactly is the situation now? Because I saw some supporters of the incumbent governor saying that nothing has changed as far as the core matter to them is concerned. Give me your overview of what this means. As people know, when those members of the assembly decamped from the PDP to APC, the seats were declared vacant. And there are those who are saying that the seats still are vacant. What is the legal position, Liborous?
Let me start by saying this is a copy of the Nigerian Constitution. And so our rules are drawn from the Constitution. So I will take my time to run through it this morning so that I would try to explain the missing link, what a lot of people, the questions that needs to be answered. And so please permit me, I will start from Section 109, the very famous section that has generated all of this issue, declaration or no declaration. Section 109, I repeat again, a lot of people have read it. A member of a House of Assembly shall vacate his seat in the House if he would now go to paragraph G, being a person whose election to the House of Assembly was sponsored by a political party, he becomes a member of another political party before the expiration of the period for which that house was elected, provided that his membership of the latter political party is not as a result of a division in the political party of which he was previously a member, or of a merger of two or more political parties or faction by one of which he was previously sponsored. And it now says, or the Speaker of the House of Assembly receives a certificate. That does not concern us here now. Subsection 2 now goes further to say, the Speaker of the House of Assembly shall give effect to subsection 1 of this section. So, however, however, that the Speaker or a member shall first present evidence satisfactory to the House that any of the provisions of that subsection has become applicable in respect of the member. So the first question is this section self-executory? When I mean self-executory, if a member defects, does it mean that automatically he loses his seat? Who will pronounce that, seat vacant? Subsection 2 says the Speaker, as at that time, shall pronounce that seat vacant, but first he must have satisfactory evidence. And the Supreme Court also has ruled by pronouncing on Section 109, subsection 1, paragraph G, to the effect that division in a party does not mean local division. It means division at the center, at the national affairs of the party. So the question that would come on this Rivers issue, these are questions that the court will have to answer subsequently, is who was the Speaker as at the time that these members defected? Who was the Speaker as at that time? And did that Speaker declare their seat vacant? So if you now look at the position of these members, you had 5 in one side and you have 25 in another side. So you now begin to ask yourself, who was the Speaker? If you say their seat had been declared vacant, which of the speakers declared them vacant? Was the person a Speaker at that time that this seat was declared vacant. The section is not self-executory. The section did not say that automatically somebody will have to make that pronouncement by virtue of subsection 2 of section 109. It is somebody who is the speaker. If you remember, when Amaewhule, as Speaker of the House of Representatives, defected, he is the speaker. He couldn't have pronounced his own seat vacant. He kept quiet. So in the absence of somebody making that pronouncement, what the provision of the Constitution now provides, that is where you now activate section 272, subsection 3. First and foremost, that section says subject to the provision of section 251. So we will read section 251 first. And what is section 251? It talks about the jurisdiction of the Federal High Court, notwithstanding anything to the contrary contained in this Constitution, and in addition to such other jurisdiction as may be conferred upon it by an act of the National Assembly, the Federal High Court shall have and exercise jurisdiction to the exclusion of any other court in civil matters and causes. And then section 272 now says, subject, 272 subsection 3 says, subject to the provision. Mind you, quickly, section 272 is an alteration, is an addition. Subsection 3 is an addition to section 272. Section 272 before now had only 2 subsections, subsection 1 and 2. But because of the abuse by state governors using state high courts to oust the tenure of members they do not like, look at the situation that happened in Edo State, where some lawmakers who were not inaugurated went to court, went to the state high court, and for 4 years, that matter was warehoused because the governor was interested in the matter. That matter was passed from one judge to another judge, that to the extent that it passed between 9 judges in the space of 4 years, and it was not heard for 1 day. So it was in that spirit that the National Assembly, to forestall a situation where the governors who are becoming emperors by the day, they've completely taken over the State House of Assembly, and they also had taken over the state judiciary. It's in that spirit that this subsection was added, that subject to the provision of section 251 and other provisions of this Constitution, the Federal High Court shall have jurisdiction to hear and determine the question as to whether the term of office of a member of the State House of Assembly of a state, a governor or a deputy governor, has ceased or become vacant. So the question now also is that if that section is self-executory, why do you now need subsection 3 of section 272? Why do you need to activate it? What it means is that the section itself is not self-executory. If the speaker refuses to declare a seat vacant after the person had defected, you can now approach the Federal High Court under subsection 3 of section 272 to ask that the court declare such seat vacant, the member having defected, and also on the ground that there is no division in their party. So here, again, the poser, who was the speaker as at the time these seats were declared vacant or not declared vacant. And if there was if the seat had not successfully been declared vacant, do you now need to go to court, to the State High Court, to ask that the seat be declared vacant? Do you declare vacant a seat that had been declared vacant? I don't know if you're getting my point.
Indeed, I am. It is looking like... Okay. I wonder, do you consider this anything of... would it be fair to call it a legal conundrum, or is that, putting far too much sauce on it? It's really a much more simple issue than that. What's your considered view?
It is simple. It is simple. It is very simple. It's not a conundrum. It is just the fact that you have people who consistently deceive the public, including senior lawyers, and they come and they tell you a section is self-executory when it is not self-executory. The section did not. The section vested, subsection 2, vested the power of that declaration on somebody, which is the speaker at this time. So the question you now ask is, who is the speaker?
Yes.
Who is the valid speaker?
Yes.
As at this time. Did that, so if that question is answered, that this person is the speaker, valid speaker as at that time, did that person make that declaration? If he made the declaration, yes, fine, that's when you now begin to contest. Oh no, this declaration cannot stand. Then the question will now be, before the court, this declaration, was it validly made or not? But a situation where that declaration, you have not even determined if it was made, and then you now say, you go to court, in enforcing your fundamental right. Mind you, the case where the judge hurriedly, via ex parte order, granted the order, saying, no, these people are not members, it was a fundamental right enforcement procedure. Uche Jumbo, or was that his name, went to court saying that he's been elected as speaker. I will get to that also. By 3 members, 2 members. And so he went to court and said that his rights as a speaker is about to be threatened by some people who are parading themselves, whose seats have been declared vacant, and the court, without bothering to hear the other side, contrary to the position of natural justice, which is odi otare pater. Every law student from year 1 knows that you must hear the other side. Without bothering to hear the other side, went ahead via ex parte order, despite the consistent warning of the Supreme Court. That was why the Court of Appeal said there was no hurry. There was no need. You at least even hear both parties. A man says, my right is about to be threatened. You say, okay, yes, I grant you a reprieve for 7 days. And then, but let the other parties come and at least also let me hear them. Without doing that, you went ahead to say the seats have been declared vacant. And the Court of Appeal is saying, no, you don't even have the powers to. Assuming without conceding that you even have the power, you ought to have heard the other side. And then you now come to section 91 of the Constitution, which is another section that a lot of people also have not averted their mind to. So we don't make a mockery of the law made by us. Subject to the provisions of this Constitution, permit me to read again. A House of Assembly of a state shall consist of 3 or 4 times the number of seats which that state has in the House of Representatives, divided in a way to reflect as far as possible nearly equal population, provided that the House of Assembly of a state shall not consist of not less than 24 members and not more than 40 members. So by virtue of section 91, at every time, the House of Assembly must have not less than 24 members and not more than 40 members. So now, a situation where that is the Constitution again.
Yes.
That's the Constitution again.
And we've seen that particular aspect of what you've just read being violated, seriously.
When I listen to commentators and people say, oh, these sections are, we want sanity in our polity. We don't want a situation where politicians will jump from one political party to another. But the question is, in bringing about this sanity, there should be due process. Due processes must be followed. If we violate the Constitution because it favors us, and when it doesn't, we cry foul. What we are creating is anarchy. We're building anarchy. So, like I said again, there is nothing in these sections that I've read that is a conundrum or that is confusing. It is as clear and visible as it can be, as the word visible itself.
Indeed.
But it's only the interpretation that we are giving to it. Subsection 2 is clear. So what the court now needs to be determined to determine is who is the speaker at this time. Is 5 greater than 25? These are questions that people will answer quickly. I must say this. If you remember, when Amaewhule was governor, 5 members of the same Rivers State House of Assembly, led by Evans BP, attempted to suspend 26 lawmakers, 5 members, and it created a crisis in that state. And people condemned that Act that 5 members cannot suspend 26 or 20 or so. And today, the people that condemned those 5 members are the ones saying 5 members of a House of Assembly can suspend 26. Those people who supported the act that 26 cannot be suspended are the ones now saying, look, the tables are turned today. So that's why I'm telling you that there is no conundrum.
Okay.
What we are just doing is interpretation.
I'm going to come back to you, Liborous, and thank you very much for that copious, look at the situation from the constitutional point of view. Mr. George, thank you for holding on all that while. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to Liborous.
Yes.
Very copious indeed, the explanation that Mr. Oshoma has just given. I hope his name is among the 84 lawyers that they will soon give senior advocates of Nigeria. I hope so.
I don't have a godfather also. My name is not there.
Uncle Yori, as the debacle unfolds in Rivers State, I think the legal system will be the end result for all the parties. But what surprises me is the statement made by 60 members of the House of Representatives. What's their business there? Are they interpreters of the law now? I thought the National Assembly was to make laws. It suddenly turned out to be interpreting what the judges and the judgment that have been given. So it takes me back to my earlier suggestion at the time we discussed this issue before, that if the problem in Rivers State continues, the National Assembly might consider legislative work for Rivers State. But how is that going to happen for an already compromised National Assembly now in the dispute? I'm just wondering. Perhaps Liborous should also talk to us how that is feasible, where an arbiter is already compromised even before he is called into a dispute. Good morning.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. George. Well, you heard him. And also, Liborous, there was the point where the National Assembly members who did speak on the issue were calling on the, is it the Inspector General of Police or the Attorney General to, stop enabling a particular faction. Everybody knows that this faction is, Minister Wike.
Wike.
Yeah, Minister Wike and the incumbent governor of Rivers State. So okay, how would you respond to that? Because this thing, I hope it doesn't become a political football. As you said, it's simple. If it were to be straightforward logic and English, you just read to us passages, even though they were long, the English was simple enough for people to be able to follow it. It's not a conundrum. But then politics can turn anything into a conundrum.
Yes, first and foremost, also, permit me, if you look at Section 7 of the Constitution, Section 7 of the Constitution grants, it says, the system of local government by democratically elected local government council is under this Constitution guaranteed. And accordingly, the government of every state shall, subject to Section 8 of this Constitution, ensure their existence under a law which provides for the establishment, structure, composition, finance, and functions of such councils. As I speak to you today, you have 18 states without democratically elected local government election. Before it was 17, Rivers State just joined. Some call them mayors, some call them liaison officers, and all sorts. I expect the National Assembly to insist that state governors should comply with Section 7 of the Constitution. Imagine a situation where a president can vacate a state governor and the entire democratically elected structure of the state, would that not be a call to anarchy?
Indeed.
That's what we are doing. That's what we are doing to local governments.
Okay, Liborous, at this stage, I beg your pardon for jumping in. At this stage, because of the time, let's take a break, but we'll be back in a jiffy, and so we'll continue with this conversation and also accept calls from viewers that are watching. And, you know, Liborous Oshoma has been taking us through the constitutional provisions, and the question that he has put out there that really is the most important question to ask is, who exactly was the speaker at the time of that particular event? But before we go any further, thank you, Edem from Akwa Ibom, who had called in and you're holding on. Good morning to you, Edem. Please go ahead now.
Okay.
Can you hear us? We want to know if your line is clear. Are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay, please go ahead now.
Okay, my contribution to this matter, I have a simple question to the rest of Rivers State people. Particularly, I see this as a political football between two persons, that's the FCT minister and the state governor. And my contribution here is that if the FCT minister were to be the governor as at this time, will this be happening? And you look into it, you find out that the answer will be a very big no. And then I go further, just like the lawyer said before this time, when Amaewhule was the governor, then as at this same era of council, local government chairman, operating CTC policies and the rest of that, when he defected to APC, and you find out that the council chairman as at then did not go, the seats were declared vacant when he was appointing a CTC. So for me, what is happening now in the Rivers State election, in Rivers State politics today, it is because the governor, and we look at these things, is that you see many a times when you want to be corrupt, because justice system in Nigeria today has not really been fair. So because the FCT minister is powerful as at this time, a lot of people will say they are working to make policies and pass judgment in favor of the FCT minister. But that's not my own contribution, my own plight as at this time. My own is that it is time for the Rivers people to come together, particularly the governor and the FCT minister, to make peace so that the governor can work, because this is a distraction to the government as at this time. 1 year already gone, and distraction up and down. So it is for me that the
Okay, so sorry about that. Looks like some technical gremlins got into the line, but thank you very much, Edem, calling in from Akwa Ibom. And Liborous, I think he makes the real point, because this is not supposed to be a lawyer's festival. It's not supposed to be a legal festival. It's all about governance. It's all about administration, and that is being blocked now. Thank God we have laws so that people don't resort to cudgels and knives. We hear that, but isn't this something of a distraction? And give me your impression on what Edem just said, that the coming together, necessarily coming together of the FCT minister, the former governor, and the incumbent governor, who he was, you know, very, very helpful in bringing into office, Fibulae. Give me your impression on the conduct of both gentlemen and the fact that the crappy end of the stick is being got by the people of River State, who deserve good judgment. I mean, good governance.
Let's start from Wike as a governor. The question was, if Wike was a governor, will he take this from anybody? We all know that Wike was an emperor as a governor. I will not, let's not pretend about it. He still wants to be an emperor. So, as a governor, he sacked democratically elected local government chairman and, you know, imposed caretaker committee before subsequently conducting local government election, which illegally the House of Assembly attempted to extend their tenure. Illegally. Can a National Assembly, for example, extend on their own, so much, sit down to extend the tenure of governors? or of the president, without the president addressing the National Assembly, without the nation being at war, and it became impracticable to conduct election. So what they did was to lift that section of the Constitution that says if the nation is at war and it becomes impracticable to conduct election, the president shall address the National Assembly. What they did was to lift that section into the Administration of Local Government Law number 2 of Rivers State, to give themselves the powers to extend the tenure of local government chairman. Is the Rivers State at war? No, the answer is no. Did the governor address them? The answer is no. So that clearly was an illegal act. Was he also right for the governor not to have conducted local government election? The answer is also no.
Yes.
It is also clearly illegal for the governor not to have conducted local government election. So the question now is, if Wike was a governor, will he allow this? Will he permit somebody to be dictating to him? A man who talks to kings anyhow, talk to people anyhow? The answer is no. So I listened to the second report that you played, and I laughed. You're commenting on a judgment. The first thing was to thank Wike for helping Mr. President. Without Wike, Mr. President will still do what he needs to do. So it's not because of Wike that Mr. President is able to do what he is doing. So it clearly shows where the drummer is. That it is Wike that is beating the drum for these lawmakers.
Okay, let me bring in Bashorun. I beg your pardon. Let me bring in Bashorun in Iyanokwaja. Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for calling in.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Yes,
sir.
I'm very, very grateful for Liborous. My brother George said something just jokingly that his Liborous name among the list. He responded. These are the problems we have in the country. These are the type of human beings that are SA in this country. Every time he comes on here, I always love him. He will talk on bias. When he started his work, somebody will think he's supporting somebody. But we'll look at his analysis about Wike and Uba now. He's an objective person, and when he's talking law, he brings law to a layman. Somebody that not even saw the fourth wall of secondary school will understand law from him. My brother, this country is in state of anarchy already. Look at what I said, what he drew our attention into now about the Constitution. That no less than 14 can make a House of Assembly. All over the country, don't run 5 months from for about 6 years. All of them are just doing this rubbish. Liborous, God will come to bless you. One day your godfather will come and you get out your SAN.
Thank you.
I love your analysis. So come to the issue of who makes peace. My brother, it's one that should make peace.
Thank you very much.
We can not lose anything at all. He's performing. His name is ringing back in the country. He's the brother that has been distracted. And one thing, I don't want to dwell on that one. No, my nature doesn't hate anybody. I hate anybody that's an increase.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Bashorun, for calling in. First of all, his good wishes to you, you've acknowledged. I mean, the man wants to have seen you as an SAN before now. But seriously, and even that one, we're serious about that as well. But seriously, what's the way out, Liborous? What's the way out? Because it's like everybody knows what's going on. And you just landed, your commentary just before I had to break away to take that call, was that would the FCT minister have taken this kind of a thing if he were in place? And people
the answer is clear no.
Yes.
He won't take it. We know that Wike won't take this from anybody. That was why.
Is it now fair to extend the situation because Minister Wike, the way he's going about his politics, there are people who are saying Wike doesn't stand on his own. After all, Wike is answerable to a higher authority, and if the higher authority had no time for such shenanigans, if indeed that is the word to use, then he wouldn't be able to continue. So are people being fair?
That's where I fought the police consistently locking the local government offices. Like I said, Rivers is the 18th state. You have 17 states running local government affairs with caretaker committee? Are the police locking those local government offices? The answer is no. So if the police have not occupied local government offices in the 17 states, occupying that of Rivers because the people said the local government chairman's tenure had expired and no law can extend that tenure. And now the governor, in his wisdom, violating Section 7, has put in place a caretaker committee, which the government, the people have allowed. We have abused that section. Thank God the Attorney General has gone to the Supreme Court, and we await the judgment of the Supreme Court in that regard. Okay. So Rivers is not the only state. And for equity and fairness, if you are not locking down the local government of the other 17 states, there is no need. Let's be fair. There's no need to lock that of Rivers. Okay. And then coming to a higher authority that Wike should be answerable to. Mr. President, I would exonerate him from this. Why? Because people will look at body language. Mr. President summoned all parties, issued an executive orders and asked them to sign and go execute for the peace of Rivers State. Allow the local government, the governor to run his course. Don't impeach him. Allow the speaker to be and allow the house to run. People who want to benefit, I always say it, I'm not afraid of people in power. I'm afraid of those around the corridors of power. People who want to benefit. The moment the governor got into Port Harcourt, as if they put a gun to his head to sign the paper. Oh, the president has no power to do this. The president cannot direct him on what to do. He's the governor. He must do what he needs to do. And at the end of the day, that agreement, that solution, political solution to the quagmire collapsed. And so now both parties are back to the trenches and everybody is struggling to collect the green barrel.
Okay, so, let me bring in Uche. Uche has been waiting to join the conversation. Uche in Nnewi, Anambra State. Good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, our son.
Liborous Oshoma. These players are going to work with Liborous. They're coming fast.
Amen. Amen.
Please continue.
I'm calling from Nnewi.
Yes.
The barrister himself was talking about a political solution. For me, that thing is not a political solution because you could see from the word go that agreement can never stand. You cannot tell somebody be a governor and tell the other person stay. And the person that you are telling to stay is the person that will be truncating all your efforts. You take the bill to them, they will take bill to you, you will refuse to sign, they will now go back and now what do you call it? They will now veto you. They will veto you and they will proceed in doing what they are doing. Recently, one of the local government chairmen was calling the governor stupid on a public occasion. He was calling the governor stupid. So I know that the reason why the governor signed that thing is because the case is in the Supreme Court, and he is just a governor. So he was afraid that probably they may impeach him. So in Nigeria, you will always be careful. So you just find that because that agreement for me is not an agreement. It's not a political solution at all. So that is not the way. So the point I am making is that Wike, everybody knows him as a troublemaker. Wike was the one that sacked the Uche Secondus and took the chairmanship to the north. And when the PDP were saying that they would take the presidential candidacy or the presidential appearance to the
okay, but that's going out of the scope of this particular. I beg your pardon, sir. That's going a bit out of the scope of this particular conversation. But thank you very much for calling in. Liborous, I saw you shake your head at a person.
Yes. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I heard you shake.
According to
Continue,
according
please.
to Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, I don't think that these people who are playing politics today were better than him in politics. He said, and I quote, when two incompatible mates, they can coexist for the peace of the country if only they agree on certain issues and agree to disagree. The only problem here is there is no peace accord that cannot be executed. The only thing you need, you have two incompatibles. Let there be peaceful coexistence. Let them agree to disagree. That's what is happening here. We're saying that if you say, I want to play the devil's advocate now. If you say that peace accord was not a peace accord, and so if tomorrow the Supreme Court now says that the 27 lawmakers or 25 lawmakers are the authentic lawmakers in the state, and they sit down in a sitting room somewhere and say, let the ayes have it, we hereby impeach the governor, and they say, go to court. Are we not creating a problem that we're trying to run away from?
Okay.
So we need to look at this issue holistically. The 24 lawmakers should stop for their political survival also. They should stop to pander to every whims and caprices of Wike. The governor also should not listen to every advice. These people were one family. They were one family before now. None of us heard all of this. They all wine and dine and laugh together. Let them lock themselves in the room. Forget the leaders of the party, forget the leaders of the state, forget Wike, forget everybody. You guys are lawmakers, you are the governor. My friends and brothers, how do we make this work?
All right, let me bring in John. Let me bring in John now. John is in Iyanokwaja. Good morning to you, John.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Isdoma, God bless you for your contribution. I've always been following your contribution, and I've always fallen in love with you.
Oshoma.
Oshoma, yes. Thank you. Now, let's trace the beginning of all this trouble. The president intervened with the intention of not allowing the problem fester to this level. But the governor seems not to be principled enough. Sorry to say this. If he had adhered to that agreement, I believe the problem, all this problem coming up would have been solved to a large extent, and he would have gone back to strategize if he wanted to fight his godfather. You cannot complete the story of him becoming the governor without mentioning Wike. And it's peculiar not only to Rivers State, but all over, it's global. So when people were pushing him on telly, he agreed he had the villa only for him to get to Rivers and renege and repudiated the agreement already reached. You don't do things like that. Now, I want to appeal to the two sides. They should solve this problem by going back to what the president has already, what he initiated. That is the solution. All this logjam, all these legal tussles will continue to until the term of his tenure will end and will not be able to achieve anything. God save Rivers State. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for calling in. Liborous, as the time is running down on the program, I wanted to ask you that, suggestion that's just coming from John there in Iyanokwaja. Is there still room for the governor to, retrace his steps, go back in time to what the president proposed, and for good to come out of this? Is that option still open, looking at all that has happened?
Yes, if you notice, Wike before now has been the one that is always talking and louder than himself. But unfortunately, in this matter now, he has people talking for him. So he's not the governor. He's far away in Abuja. He's trying to make the state ungovernable for the governor. At the end of the day, it is the governor's tenure that people will talk about. During his tenure, what did he do? So, for peace, for him to be able to work without consistently having to look his back, he needs to go back, look at the agreement, which area. It doesn't even need the president to call them. All these peace, family people together in a room. It's a give and take thing. What is he ready to concede? What is he ready to give? What are the lawmakers ready to concede? What are they ready to give? When that happens, they can all now go to whoever is beating drum for them, Wiki or whoever, to say, look, for the peace and tranquility of the state, let us move ahead and let us do it this way. So, because at the end of the day, lawyers are going to eat. The more the case is in court, the more you pay bills. Lawyers make fortune out of people's misfortune. Lawyers make fortune out of people's misfortune. And they will tell you we are testing the law. But nobody tests the law for free. People will make money from it. Those on each side will come on TV. They will sponsor people to go and talk. People will be making money. You'll be spending money unnecessarily for a fight that is not necessary. The Wike's faction will spend money. The governor's faction will spend money. So, but for the sake of peace, the governor now is the leader of the party at the state. He's the leader at the state, not Wike. Or anybody that is saying Wike is leader is deceiving himself. He can be leader in Abuja.
Indeed.
The governor is the leader of the state. He's the chief security officer of the state. If the state is in peace, it is his responsibility. If it is not in peace, it is his responsibility. What he needs to do now, he should, at least for maturity's sake, for purpose of leadership, learn to cut out some and say, okay, you know what? Let us sit down in a round table. Let us sit down together wherever they want to sit down. They know how they sit. And for the sake of peace, this is what I'm ready to give. And he would be the taller person. He will be the taller person politically. And his name will be written in gold in the sand of time as a man who stooped to conquer. But if he continues like this, the Wike that we know and the APC that we know, you can never determine what the court will say tomorrow. As a lawyer, you can't determine what the court will say tomorrow. And I leave them to their best.
Indeed. We're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Liborous Oshoma. It's been an exhilarating time understanding what the issues are, where the clogs are, where the possibilities are in all of this. And not to forget the good people of River State themselves, who deserve good governance, good governance from their leaders. Thank you once again, Liborous Oshoma, for making time out for us on the program this morning.
Namaste.
All right.
Namaste.
Yeah. So this is where we're going to have to leave it for now. Do please join us on Monday for a fresh edition. I am Iyori Folarin. Do have a great weekend. Bye-bye for now.